Permit me to take you close to people living in the country where they don't ask you paper, they don't ask you citizenship, they don't ask you document. You can live there as long your family wants. How is difficult the life of African living in the diaspora? You go to the foreign land, you cannot speak the language, you don't know the culture, you don't know anybody in the foreign land, you don't have brother, you don't have a sister, you don't have mother, you don't have uncle, you don't have a family in the foreign land. And on top of that, on your arrival in the foreign land, you need to follow the law and register yourself as a foreigner. You don't have money to go back home, and you don't have money to get the paper in the country. Sometimes you have the money, but you don't meet the requirement. But you are in that country. You run away from the police. You cannot conduct any business. You cannot work. You cannot marry. When you manage to respect the rule and regulation, that means you got a paper. You got what we call a permit. That permit will allow you maybe to visit the country. Sometimes it may not allow you to work. It's really difficult. It's difficult to live in the place where sometimes you don't even know how to speak the language. You need to have a work permit who's going to allow you to work. Sometimes the legislator of that country doesn't allow you because you don't meet the requirement. And now you have to live in that foreign land by hiding yourself. So life becomes difficult. So how do you manage to live in this kind of condition? For those who manage to have a paper, either the paper of study or paper of working, they may go till they have a citizenship. Some will live in that country without paper. Under refugee, they will have children. And these children need to grow in a certain environment. These children will start facing the same difficulty as the parent. So the children will just adopt the same way of living of the parent. They will be running away from the police. They will not have a document. They will not have visa. They will not have a permit to study. And sometimes they don't go to school. They don't have place called their home. They give birth to the children grow. They become a grandparent with no document. They become a grandparent with no money, with no house, with no status. And they cannot go back home. They don't even have enough money to go back home. So they have to live in the country. Know what? They will die. They will pass on in that country. And now they're going to bury them in that country. When they bury them in that country, they'll give them now a new citizenship. No one will dispute their documentation. They will take them to the cemetery and they will leave them there. Their new citizenship in that land. They can live there, I don't know for how many years. For those who are lucky, the government can think about them if there was euros. On the leadership of the President Cyril Ramaphosa in South Africa, Gayton McKenzie, the Minister of Art and Culture and Sport, actually managed to bring here in South Africa the remaining one of freedom fighter in Zimbabwe, freedom fighter in Namibia. He managed to bring them back home after many, many years. So you can understand that any man, any person, any African man would love to be buried in the land of his ancestor. Even though we live in the same continent, we are all African, but we would love to be buried in our land, the land of our ancestor. Most of us will have their citizenship only after death. And that citizenship will be to go and be in one cemetery of the country of your residence. Permit me to take you close to people living in the country where they don't ask you paper, they don't ask you citizenship, they don't ask you document. You can live there as long your family wants.
Technician, entrepreneur, business people, traveler, Fokou Media is your channel. Subscribe, like and share.
Guys, welcome back to my channel. This place where I am now, we call it cemetery. You can live here without visa. You can live here without permit. You can live here without work permit. as an African living in the diaspora. Do you know that African living in the diaspora, because of legislator, we don't have paper. You don't have a paper living in the diaspora. You give birth to a child, the child will grown up big, over 20 years, the child doesn't have a paper, doesn't have a status. The parent doesn't have a status, and the family doesn't have a status. Actually, the family doesn't have papers. The family doesn't have work permit. The family doesn't have a visa. The family doesn't have a citizenship. But they have been living in this country for long. They have been living in the diaspora for very long. But do you know what? When one person passes on, either the father who doesn't have permit, either the children who doesn't have permit, do you know what? There's a one country called cemetery. This country, as you can see, for free, they don't pay rent, they don't pay electricity, they don't pay water, they are not discriminated. Do you know that when you die, they don't refuse your citizenship? They will actually welcome you in this country, this one, where I am now. I may end up here as well if my family cannot take my remaining one to the land of my ancestor. I will remain somewhere like this also. Yeah. So guys, why are we fighting? Because we are all African. We are all human beings. And we're gonna end up in one country like this one without rent, without electricity bill forever. Guys, look at this. See how people live here. Can you see this? All this place is for free. You don't pay. You don't pay rent here. For free. For many years. They don't ask you a citizenship. They don't know if you are a Nigerian, if you are a Senegalese, if you are from Ivory Coast, if you are a Zimbabwean, if you are a Malawian, if you are a Cameroonian. Here is for free. We are African, living only in the different land. Guys, you know, sometimes you have to come and visit this kind of place. After visiting this place, you may understand that this life is very short. You may understand that being a foreigner, living in the foreign land, we don't really know where our life is going to end. When you die, they put you in their land. When you die, they brought you here and they bury you here. When you die, they leave your remaining one in that foreign land. Guys, tell me, what is your real citizenship? When you die, they accept you here and you remain here forever. What is your citizenship? As an African living in the foreign land, what is your real citizenship? Can we stop judging people by their citizenship? Can we really love each other? We need to love each other when we are still alive. If you never visit a cemetery, I will advise you to pay a visit in your local cemetery. This thing will change your mind. Do that and you'll see the difference. Let me see you again in my channel, guys.